Welcome to another episode of Electric City Television's Roundtable Discussions. I'm your host, Travis Prince, and today my guest is Rose Daniels. Hey Rose, how's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me. So glad to be here.
Exactly. I'm so excited to have you here too. So the first thing I want you to do for our viewing audience is to just tell a little bit about yourself. Where you from, where you went to school at, where you grew up at, things like that.
Well, I'm from New York, and I grew up in Long Island in a town called Elmont. And I went to Elmont Memorial High School, graduated there, came out here about 5-6 years ago. And actually, currently, I'm studying at LCCC,
Okay.
and I'm studying fine arts. So I really wanted to dive into the arts more because the arts have really been so important in my life and just putting me on a trajectory to live my happiest life.
Nice. So where do you currently live at?
I currently live in Wilkes-Barre.
In Wilkes-Barre?
Yeah.
And you attend LCCC,
which is Luzerne County Community College.
Luzerne County Community
College, yeah.
Okay, and how long have you been attending classes there?
So I actually just started studying fine arts last semester. That was my first semester studying fine arts.
Okay.
But yeah.
When did you graduate high school?
I graduated high school in 2012.
In 2012.
So it's been some years.
Yeah, so what was that final decision that say, I think I should go back to school?
So I've been back to school twice before this.
Okay.
Once to study criminal justice, the second time early childhood education.
Let's talk about this criminal justice. So what was your interest in that?
So really, I chose it because, sometimes you get kind of influenced to choose something that's going to be a breadwinner.
Yeah.
And that was why I chose it. I was like, okay, I think I can make some good money doing criminal justice. But was it where my heart was? I wouldn't say so.
It was a financial career move.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
And then after criminal justice, you studied?
Early childhood education.
Okay.
And that decision was made because I've always worked with youth, and I still currently work with youth at the Catholic Youth Center in Wilkes-Barre.
Okay.
Actually run a teen program. So I was really empowered to pursue education in order to be able to, continue teaching the youth in elementary schools. My goal was to be an art teacher.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you wanted to be in the educational realm.
Yes.
And so now you're currently back in school for fine arts.
For fine arts.
And you've made it through an entire semester so far.
And I am glad to say I got a 4.0 for the semester.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes, that is my first 4.0. I was like, you see what happens when you actually follow your dreams and you are unapologetic about it. I'm so proud of myself.
So
honestly,
what is some experiences you've had as an art major?
Well, some of the challenges, for one, have been kind of juggling the expenses. Art supplies are expensive, and juggling paying your bills and being independent on your own, and making sure you have enough to buy your supplies is kind of difficult. And another challenge was just making sure I could pay for school. But I knew that because my heart was set on it, I wasn't going to put too much pressure on myself to, be anxious about that. So I just, put my best foot forward and just focused on getting everything I needed to get done. And honestly, my favorite part about being a fine arts major is everything that I've learned. All of my professors are amazing people, and the support that they've shown me and the encouragement and the lectures and just everything that I've learned so far has really expanded my palette as an artist.
Wow.
Which was my goal.
Yeah. So seems like you're having a really good time in school right now.
I love it.
Anyway, it's early childhood education, and now you're going for a fine arts background. Do you still want to pursue the goal of becoming a full-time art teacher, or?
So, right now, no.
Okay.
My goals have changed with me.
Growth and goals change.
Growth and growth, yes. So now, I still do want to educate the youth about art, but not in a school setting. I want to do it community-based.
So why is that? Why?
Because I find that, for one, a lot of programs like art programs get cut from schools. I don't want to connect with kids just to get my program cut.
Yeah.
I'd rather work with the youth in a place like the community, because when you think about it, sometimes the community doesn't always have enough to offer youth. And I feel like I can fill that space. I can offer inspiration. I can offer healthy coping mechanisms for the challenges that youth go through today, you know, because that's what helped me through my life and my challenges growing up. And I see the importance of it. So that's my goal now.
Okay. After high school, you went for criminal justice, early childhood education, and now you're coming back around to art. But what is some of the first things that got you into art?
So some of the first things that got me into art, just in general, I actually first got introduced to art when I was in second grade. And my art teacher, you know, I was living in Long Island. I grew up in, okay, let's take it all the way back now. I was in foster care.
Okay.
Me and my siblings ended up in foster care because our mom's substance abuse disorder, as well as her mental health challenges, she was unable to raise us. So through being shuffled around in the system, you know, I had a hard time as a kid grounding myself. And once I made it to my final foster home, which I eventually got adopted into, I was able to get exposed to art classes. It was a Long Island where the school system's a lot different than this inner city. And my art teacher took the time to teach me like how to draw nose. And I was able to draw nose better than anybody in the class. And the feeling of like, wow, everybody's coming up to me to see my art, like, yo, bros, you did that? It inspired me. And my journey of art began right there in second grade.
Wow.
And I really fully came to realize the power behind it. Drawing pictures to make stories, starting to write poetry, expressing myself when I couldn't express myself in other ways. And, you know, through the challenges that I went through as a youth, art was always my outlet, my safe outlet, my safe space.
I have a very similar background. Substance abuse in my family also caused me and my sibling to go into the foster care system at a young age. And so like what you're doing now, working with the youth in the community, do you feel like having this positive impact on children at an early age can help situate them in life and put them in a better position to grow and develop?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I couldn't even imagine who I'd be today if it wasn't for having those safe ways to express myself. I couldn't imagine. You know, some people would turn to drugs. Some people would turn to, you know, very risky behaviors. And, you know, not saying that it never happened, you know, but having a safe space in the community to help guide you through those decisions that you have to make. These are all choices and options. I just want to be able to provide those more choices and options that are safe for the youth. And I think that there's no better way to do that than to help these youth tap into their inner creator.
And so currently you're employed at the Catholic Youth Center. And what's your title there?
So I have two titles there.
Oh, big time.
Dual titles. I'm actually the program director for the Youth Drop-In program, which is a safe space for teens, as well as being a cultural implementation and youth engagement specialist.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, they both have to deal with youth and mental health, but more specifically, the cultural implementation role is actually a new initiative that has been put forth to help diversify and, you know, just increase cultural competency in the systems that serve, you know, Luzerne County, because they see a great need for it. And, you know, I was able to power through another role with the same grant initiative as a youth task lead. So it just seemed very fitting. It just aligned very well. So working both roles in the community and just being a pillar and a, you know, beacon of light and hope for the community is just kind of natural too. So that's what I do there.
So now that once again, you're back in school, you're pursuing your art degree, you're around an amazing group of artists and teachers and educators. Are you finding new ways to engage with the youth that you already help on a daily basis?
Yes, I am actually. And I'm also finding a couple of challenges as well. I am finding new ways to engage with the youth and also being able to bring in more creative people and people who are just, you know, focused on, you know, basically bringing up the cultures in this area, just supporting the cultured people in this area is an amazing opportunity for our youth. But sometimes I do feel like it's a little bit challenging engaging with certain professionals and, you know, people I know could make an impact in these kids' life and getting them, really pulling them in. That's where like I kind of find a little bit of a challenge.
Trying to get everybody excited.
Yes, I'm trying to be like, come
helping.
on,
Yeah.
let's inspire these kids, come on. You know, and just getting people to find the time to, you know, really kind of invest into the youth the way it should be.
Yeah. So pertaining to your artistic pursuits, where do you find your motivation, and what are some things that keep you engaged in your craft?
Well, honestly, seeing the look on people's faces when I create something, you know, like I do a couple of like custom things for people, and I'm into photography as well. And when people come to me with their ideas and I'm able to help them kind of bring it to life, and I see the impact that it makes, like, and I see how important being a creator is in society, even though sometimes, you know, they try to say, you know, artists don't make any money, or, you know, art is not that important. It is important.
Yeah.
We use art in every aspect of our lives. I mean, somebody had to design your toothbrush, you know? Like, somebody drew a picture of that
Yeah.
toothbrush before they made it, right?
Yeah.
You know, so the motivation is just being able to inspire others as well, especially the youth that I work with.
Yeah.
And there's no safer way.
So are there any artists that you gravitated towards, their particular style or techniques that you admire and try to incorporate into your own stuff?
Now, I'm honestly not one I have a big pledge, right? Where I don't like to kind of bite off of anybody else.
Yeah.
So I like to be very original. But an artist that I really do like a lot is Jean Basquiat. I love his work and I love his message. Like, he was like a rebel for the arts, you know? And I felt like a lot of times I had to be a rebel just for myself, you know? And so just spiritually, I think I resonate with Jean Basquiat like the heaviest.
It took me a minute to understand his creations. I was introduced to him in 7th grade. I had an awesome art teacher in middle school, and she introduced me to his work, and I didn't get it until my adult life, until I started analyzing social situations, political and economic situations that develop in different community groups in America, and how he was trying to break down the humanity in his art. And so it took me a while, but I finally understand his works, and I can see how he could be a big influence on you.
Oh yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm an advocate for so much, and society plays such a big role in people's mental health and people's well-being, you know, and your environment is so important. And in my art, you know, a lot of times, like this piece that's sitting here right now, I actually created this piece. It's abstract. I didn't have like a specific goal for it, right? But I knew I wanted to create something. And when I was done creating it, I was able to interpret into it like, wow, you know, let me put this building in there. And you can either look at these little lines right here as people crowding the building, or you can look at it as grass, right? And I feel like when you create something, no matter, sometimes if you aren't even 100% clear about the intention, right, it still has an impact.
When it comes to creating, do you prefer to move towards the abstract or towards more of the realism?
So I feel like abstract art for me is more emotionally driven at times. You know, I grabbed a couple of cans of spray paint from Walmart and I kept them for a while, and I knew I was going to create something, right? So like I said before, there was no direct intention at first. I just knew okay, I have a blank canvas, let me create something. So I would say before I started academically studying art, I would gravitate towards abstract more for a couple of years, like just for a chunk of years that I was not in academic arts. Because when I was in high school, I would do more realism because I'm really good at realism. But when I'm at home and I just want to express myself, I like to be more free with it. I don't like to feel like I have to be confined to like this picture that I'm trying to draw.
Yeah.
I like to be free and just go with the flow. And then when I show it to people that I care about and they're like, well, I see this and I see this. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're like, what does this mean, Rose? And I'm like, it doesn't, it means whatever your mind tells you it means to you.
So
You know?
being able to create a piece that can be interpreted by the viewer in several different ways, or for people to, gravitate or pick up on certain aspects of it from the abstract qualities of the piece is pretty cool. And
It is pretty cool.
it's like with my art, I normally work from reference photos, but like you said, recently I've been wanting to do more intangible things, such as emotions or different concepts of like, one concept I'm working with is the age-old question of where does things come from? Where does matter? Where does life? Where did this all start? And there's not an exact image of what the creation of time looks like. So you have to manipulate the materials in a way to be more expressive. And I think that abstract art is almost the only way to do that.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to appreciate abstract. Once again, I was introduced to Pollock years ago and his drip paintings. I didn't get it. But it came a point where I wanted to express myself, and you can't do it with a face or a dog or a car or something, this tangible object or something. You have to literally let the material flow as it will in order for you to get that emotion on the canvas. And so I really understand what you mean, where it's, I'm going to create. I don't have a set idea. I don't have a destination, a specific destination I'm trying to reach. I just feel like creating something.
Yes. And that's for a couple years, like I said, that's been where my creation has been.
Yeah.
And even when I do make people, I don't use a reference. Like I have a painting of a girl who I just kind of made up out of my mind, and I just was going with the flow.
Wow.
And it just hits differently.
Yeah.
It really does. It resonates differently, and it's just free. Like nobody can tell you like that's wrong or that's right. And I think that's the best part about abstract art, is that it's unapologetically you.
Yeah.
Unapologetically open expression.
Being back in a classroom setting, do you feel any restraints on your creativity as far as assignments or projects go, that, we want X, Y, Z for a grade, and compared to when you're at home in your personal time and space?
I would say yes and no. Yes, because obviously I have to meet certain requirements, but no, because so far my professors, they allow you to choose what you want to work on, even though they have like guidelines for how you need to create it. If they, to fit the lesson, they're pretty open about allowing you to still have yourself in it, which I can appreciate, and I used to be a rebel about it when I was in high school. My teacher say, I need you to do it like this. And I'll be like, no, I'm gonna do it like this, okay? And I would still get 100, so. No, I don't feel like, you can't limit my artists. I don't feel like that. I just feel like they can teach me how to bring more structure to how I create, which I can appreciate, because it helps me when I do get people who are like, hey, can you help, make a logo for me? I'm able to incorporate the structure that I learned in academic art. So,
Nice. So I want to really go over the pieces that you brought in today. This piece here, does it have a title?
no, it's untitled.
Okay.
If I had to give it a title off the top of my head, I would call it Connected.
Connect,
Connected.
connected.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing that really captures me is the fire red up in the corner. It looks like the crystals forming in a snowflake almost, but then it has this energy, this really hot energy coming from it. I don't know why I just gravitate right to that section, but then the eye is able to flow across the piece, and then you see other aspects that can be interpreted certain ways. I can see a crescent moon and an eagle's wing and a pyramid and a building, and then this portion here with the gold paint is just like, it adds this extra layer to it that is, it just feels so rich. The composition is really unique in itself, but I don't know, the different aspects and the different layers you put on here is really intriguing. And you kind of explained a little bit, but your thought process throughout this piece, what were you going through?
So I would say, for one, I was very much at peace that day. I woke up with the intention of expressing myself. And I took a couple canvases outside, and I usually do my art indoors, but because it's spray paint, I took it outdoors. And I just wanted to feel grounded. I wanted to kind of express that grounded feeling, but also express the spiritual energy I was feeling. And what I really love about this piece too is that you could actually hang it in any direction. And I feel like whoever this ends up going home with, you know, depending on their mood or how they feel, you hang it one way, it kind of might even have a different interpretation if you look at it from a different angle. Because when I created it, it was flat on the ground and I was working around it. So it was no real, you know, this is the top, this is the bottom, you know, but I can tell you that I use these neutral colors to represent like the earth. You know, I specifically chose those paint colors when I was at Walmart because I was like, okay, I like the earthy tones. I'm going for the earthy tones here. And they represent, you know, I believe in like the whole, you know, I'm a Capricorn, so I'm an earth sign.
Okay.
And that earthly energy of being grounded and rooted, I wanted to incorporate it in a couple pieces. And so when I look here at these colors, you know, I think of either desert sand or mountains or the red dirt in Africa, like, you know, and you could take it when I go over here, like these orbs over here to me represent like spiritual energy, you know, it's transparent, you know, and the gold is shining around it. And then the black was kind of like the sturdiness, I would say like the environment, you know what I mean? That's those things you can't control that are there, you know, and after I did the spray painting aspect of this, I did let it dry, and I was like, I think this needs a little bit of oil marker. And that's been actually one of my art styles is I love inking and just messing with like geometrical shapes and like tribal looking shapes. And I wanted to incorporate that into this piece to kind of give it more character. And I think I did pretty well with that aspect, and I wanted to keep it simple.
Do you normally use different mediums like that, spray paint, acrylics, oil markers,
Yes.
to get the final results that you're
I'm
looking for?
very much into like mixing medias, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this piece. Let's check out some other stuff you
Oh
brought.
yeah,
This piece is black and white.
yes it is.
It's so how did you get the pattern to reproduce so precisely like that?
So this was a part of a project I did for one of my classes, and I can tell you this project gave me, it was fun and it was a little bit of a headache because the concept was so new to me. It's called a motif.
Okay.
And basically, you know, we were challenged with coming up with a shape and, you know, repeating the pattern. And I wanted it to have a deeper meaning, and I wanted to connect with the African culture. So I actually looked up some African symbolism, and actually, this kind of goes with what you're kind of exploring with, you know, where does things come from, the start, you know, and this specific symbol is called accept God. There's an African word for it, but I can't remember it. But it means accept God, accept, as in no one is going to live to see the beginning and the end except God, right? And that just, when I saw that symbol and I read what it meant, I was like, that's the symbol I want to use.
Wow.
And so then I drew the symbol out, and what we had to do was kind of paste it over like this and flip it, and then, you know, kind of play with it in different ways until you found a pattern that, you know, you liked best and was fitting to you. And then we were challenged to make it bigger and, you know, cover a big space with it. And, you know, after doing a couple different designs with the pattern, I came up with this one, and I felt like this one resonated and just kind of like spoke to me. And it's crazy because while I was doing this, I was watching a music video that I really enjoy. And at the end, this very symbol was behind the artist who was singing. And I was like, look at that. So I was able to put this together, and we got it printed out. And I actually had to use tracing paper to kind of like implant it onto the board, into this illustration board. And I used India ink and a little bamboo brush to paint it on there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and yeah.
How do you like working with that, the ink and brush?
So fun.
Yeah.
What? It was so cool. I felt like really in tune. I really did. I felt so in tune. It was annoying to get in the little parts, though. I would tell you that.
imagine.
That was like,
And then
I had to kind of use a Faber-Castell pen to do those,
wow.
like the edges.
Yeah.
Like I did as much as I could with the brush, and then I had to go in and clean up the edges with the pen.
Then use the pointism with the dots.
Yeah, yeah.
It's this is a very
Added a little texture.
bold piece. It's like I said, just that stark black and white contrast. It really makes you focus on the center, and then your eyes realize, wait, it's the exact same on the borders, you know, and I can see several different things. It's almost like
That's
the
my favorite
Rorschach
part about
chest.
it. Yeah.
You know. I see hearts. I see skulls. I see a butterfly. I see
the skull too.
yeah, there's just so many different images that are made from this one symbol that means except God. And no one will see everything except God. I really like this. This is a really, really striking piece. I enjoy it.
I think that's my favorite part about it, is that you can see the skulls.
Yeah.
And it just gives it such a deeper meaning to the symbol itself. The symbol already had that meaning. And then, you know, looking at it, like I see a skull here, and then I even see a skull here, but it looks more like an animal skull.
Animal skull,
And
yeah.
I'm just like, wow, that kind of just represents that saying so much more to me. And I'm gonna flip it real quick,
Sure.
right? When you look at it from here, when you look at it from this angle, it kind of gives me the wise owl vibe,
I can see that.
you know? So
almost
really
see
enjoyed
like an
making this piece.
hourglass too, like the
Yeah,
sands
like of time.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
see,
like it.
that's why I had so much fun with this. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
something about this that is just so meaningful.
Yeah.
So very meaningful. So,
And the tedious projects, the ones that make us step outside of our comfort zone a little bit, are normally the most fun, you know,
Yeah.
because of the challenge and making it
Yes.
through that challenging
it
portion
was.
of
It was a challenge kind of try to add extra texture to
Yeah.
this. you know, just so it could pop a little bit. And like you can see kind of like if you look at the stippling, like it's not you're not gonna find it
No,
the same
exactly.
on any part of it, because as I was going through it, I just was getting different vibes for each part of the symbol, you know. So
I like it.
yeah,
Let's check out some more stuff.
let's check it out.
So this is ink,
Yes, same thing. India ink.
Indian ink.
India ink.
Wow. So I see 4 figures, and one is pointing to the cosmos, this swirling galaxy, and all this motion and energy in the background. The small symbols on the waistband, there's like so much detail in here. What was your thought process on this piece?
So this piece has an actually really cool story. So originally, I got the inspiration for this from a dream. I had a dream that I was showing art in my childhood home, and I had people coming in the house to look at these art pieces that I created. And there was this painting up on the wall. I didn't recognize it as my own, but I was showing it to people as my own. And I was like, whoa, it was a painting of a guy pointing at the sky.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, and I woke up, I was like, I need to draw this out. Like, so I drew it out, but it did not come out the way it looked in my dream, obviously. But it came out with just the frame for this piece, which was just the figures, you know. And I actually, when I drew the sketch, there was faces in there. And it was just an idea at first, you know. And when I was challenged with, you know, coming up with this point, line, and plane project, where the focus is pen and ink techniques and, you know, the different styles of line, you know, so you can, when you look in there, you can see stippling, cross hatching, contour lines, wavy lines. I kind of incorporated all the techniques that my teacher had taught me that semester, and even like, you know, you can see some scribbling in there. I was able to bring it to life. I wanted to bring it to life, and I didn't know it was gonna come out like this at all. It took me like, I would say I spent about 12 to 15 hours doing this.
Wow.
12 to 15 hours. I spent a whole day doing it. And I was surprised by how it came out, because I drew the sky out a little bit. It was blank. And as I was going in, I kind of just let my pen flow. And the textures just like,
That's what I like.
it's earthy, like, you know, this looks like mountainous back here. You know, it gives like, it's giving Mars maybe, or not even Mars, like beyond that, beyond the stars. And I actually designed these suits based on hazmat suits. But like, it's supposed to be like a space kind of suit, you know, but who knows? They could be on their home planet, or their home planet exploded a long time ago. And this man is teaching his kids about,
the
you know, the
history.
stars and the
Yeah.
history, you know. And I did want to kind of signify the importance of fatherhood in this picture. Like, I didn't grow up knowing my father, but I do wonder, like, you know, how would my life have been different had I had that influence, you know? And I think this kind of symbolizes the importance of fatherhood, because, like, to me, this is this man and his children, you know, and he's taken them beyond the stars, and now he's teaching them about the universe, you know, so.
Passing down the knowledge and information.
Yeah.
I really enjoy this piece.
Yeah, this piece was definitely heartfelt.
All right, you have some more stuff?
Yes, I do.
So, a little bit of Andy Warhol here?
A little bit, just a little.
I really like the different styles, taking the reference photo and then simplifying it and simplifying it and simplifying it, and then changing it, and then blowing out the colors on it. It's so good. Your rendering, it's amazing, amazing.
This was definitely my favorite one to do.
Yes, it looks so
My
good.
favorite, absolute favorite. I mean, graphite, is like one of my favorite mediums. Like, besides ink though,
Yeah.
ink. I would say ink and acrylics are like my top, and then graphite. I really love drawing with pencil when it comes to drawing people.
So on this piece, you have graphite ink, and the color is color pencil, or
Yes, it's color pencil. Yeah. So
Was this a school project?
this was
or-
also a project.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I know my professors, if they see this, they're like, yes, go Rose. Yeah, so like we had the reference photo. This obviously, it's me, hey. And I actually never really do any self-portraiture, really, you know. I took this picture of myself and then, you know, I had to draw it with graphite. And then I had to do it in high contrast with gray. So black, white, gray, and then even higher contrast with just black and white. And then we went abstract and then inverted the abstract colors and enlargement right here. And then color pencil with, what did I use? A triad color scheme. So this opened up my mind as an artist a lot because I hadn't been challenged like this in a long time. This was my first project, and I was like, whoa, this is a lot. This surprisingly was the most challenging part, was getting this abstract
to deconstruct.
the realism,
more,
because
yeah.
I'm really good at realism.
Yeah.
So when I was challenged with trying to turn that abstract, you should have seen how many times I had to do it.
I can imagine.
I had to do it over so many times. My professor was like, I know you can do it better than that. That's not really, just, it has to be a little more abstract. Because I was not going very abstract. I was like adding a little bit of angles here and there.
It's hard to turn it off, because
It is.
most artists, we focus on those details and the minute things that make a person, and so it's hard to, you know, overlook those details and try to get to the basic core shapes
Yeah.
of the image. But
It
you did
sure
a
can be.
fantastic job on that. Like, any one of these frames could be blown up into a masterpiece by itself.
Well, thank you. That's exactly what my professor said. She said, each one is a little masterpiece.
Yes, they are.
This was a pleasure to do, honestly. And it opened up my mind. I mean, I love abstracting, but I've never tried it from a reference.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never abstracted from a reference, and I think that was the biggest challenge of it.
Nice. Do we have one more from you?
Yes, this one right here.
Oh, man.
My baby. Took me hours to do this. So this is a little touch of my realism style, and actually took that picture. That's one of my really good friends, and
So you photographed this yourself?
yes, I
Wow.
did. I sure did. I like to be, like I told you, I like to be original. I don't like to take other people's art. I don't want to make a rendition of somebody else's art. I want to be original, as original as possible when I create, because I don't want anybody to ever try to say, hey, that doesn't belong
That's
to you.
my intellectual
That's
property.
Right? No, it's not. So this was my introduction to charcoal.
Yeah?
Yes, this was my first time doing a charcoal piece.
Wow.
It's my first time.
You blew that out
Oh yeah.
for your first time using. Oh my God.
First time. First time.
Just the soft transition from the highlight on his cheek as it goes into his beard and hair, it just is so nice. It's so good. The wispiness of the smoke, like, literally, you could have not done a better job. It is.
Thank you.
To me, it's photorealistic. You know,
It
because
is.
if you look quick, it's a photograph. Like, you blew it out. Like, it's amazing.
I literally showed it to a couple of my friends, and they were like, is that a photo? I was like, no, man, that's charcoal.
And then, how big is that square?
I would say about
5x8, maybe?
Yeah, I
So
think
you,
it's like 5x7 maybe.
you packed
Not
all
even.
of that detail into
Yeah.
a 5x7.
Just
box.
about,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Just about.
Rose.
The technique that that my professor was teaching us was the gridding. So we did it grid by grid. You know, I had a photo reference.
Do the
and-
square, do the
yeah,
next square.
1 inch squares.
Yeah.
And, you know, we would put the photo like here, and this one column would be exposed. And, you know, first you do a little outlining for the whole piece with white. And then you go back to the first column, and then you start from the top and you work your way to the bottom, and you just take your time and go each column by each column. And some of my concerns at first was like, okay, if I do it like that, am I gonna notice the line? You know, because there's like a line.
Yeah.
You know, and I was concerned with it, but as I went, I realized like, wow, this is actually very workable.
Yeah.
This is more workable than graphite. So now that I've been introduced to charcoal, graphite, you
Yeah,
got
so
a little
you
competition.
like the charcoal?
I
huh?
loved it.
Yeah.
It was so fun to do. I just love how soft the charcoal is. So like, you know, you can render a lot easier than you could with graphite. Like if with graphite, you got to like erase it like really well. Like if you mess up, you got to erase it. But with this, like you can work with your mistake. If you make a little line mistake, you could work it out with the pencils, you know, so, and it was really flowing. The only thing I could say I didn't like about it was how dusty it was. It was like really dusty.
Yeah, the charcoal will get the dust to you.
Yes, hence the dust on the side from my hand.
Well, this is a very, very impressive piece.
Thank you.
You are a very impressive person,
Thank you.
and I really appreciate you taking your time to come down and show everybody your magnificent art and having this
appreciate
conversation with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Travis. This was awesome.
This has been another episode of Electric City Television's Roundtable Discussions. I'm your host, Travis Prince, and today our guest was Rose Daniels. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.